Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Grit, a hockey podcast. My name is Dakota. I'm here with three other dudes to talk to you about hockey. One of those dudes is Jake.
Hello, I come to you from the land of straight vodka and Cheetos.
Yeah, these are some after-hour times going in here.
Grit after dark.
25 to 50% of us may be in the land of alcohol. I'm also here with Dylan.
Hello.
And Devin.
Hey, I come to you from the land of caffeinated beverages so that I could record this.
Okay, so 50% of us are in the land of caffeinated beverages and 25% are in the land of vodka. That's fine.
I think I'm going to degenerate as this progresses.
It's fine.
I've been in... So, I ended up going outside and being like, hey, what alcohol do we have? Only vodka. Do we have soda? No. We have lemons and sugar. Okay. That was a mistake. So now I'm just drinking vodka. Vodka's tight, boys.
Yes, sir. That is my drink of choice, usually.
I think vodka sucks, but I am trashed. Whiskey is my drink of choice.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I have a drink of choice, but I would say that whenever I feel the need, I usually go with vodka. It's not a preference, it's just the way she goes sometimes.
DNVR was doing Swedish fish with vodka, and I'm a fan of Swedish fish.
You know what? That sounds really good. They did that. I saw them do that, and I was like, that doesn't sound like the worst.
I actually really want some Swedish fish now. Fuck. Mariah, to the store.
Okay. So while we're on the topic of abject degeneracy, got a little feedback, boys, about something that we need to be doing with our podcast. I've been told by friends of the show that we need more gambling information on this here pod. And to that I say, you don't want gambling information from us. Because we do not know what we're doing.
My gambling information is as follows. Always take the over on Mikko Rantanen shots.
As long as the line is set at 2, yes.
1 in 4 games he'll not get it, but you know, dollar cost averaging, you're going to figure it out, man. It's going to work for you. There's literally nothing else. I don't know. Vote on the Avs to give up a lead with 13 minutes left in the third to go and lose the entire fucking game. Like,
serious question. If the over-under on goals in a game is 5.5 with the Avalanche, do you take the over? I feel like I take the over on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd say yes. I feel like maybe against like LA, no?
Teams that are
like
really
LA does a really good job.
Yeah.
Not even defensive, just the Avs have a hard time dealing with like sludge.
Yeah.
Like just clogged up neutral zone. They have a hard time handling it, so I don't know.
I'd say
but if Dubnik's in net, take the over because he sucks.
Oh man. Yeah, so I wouldn't take it against the Kings, I wouldn't take it against the Ducks, but I think most of the time if you bet the over on 5.5, 5, wherever they set that line, it'll probably work out.
I think Avs Knights probably trade chances enough to make that also work. Like,
yeah.
I mean, if Nathan McKinnon is injured for a long time, then maybe not, but hey, whatever.
Well, we'll talk about that, I guess. We're recording this night after the second Minnesota game. There's a lot to talk about. We've been missing you guys.
We've done a great job of keeping up with our schedule.
Life happens. Technology happens. Nobody's fault. It's 4 people. Getting schedules and everything can be rough.
I placed the blame entirely on Tony DeAngelo.
Same. It's all Tony DeAngelo's fault.
He stole Dylan's mic. Dylan had a mic. Tony DeAngelo was like, fuck this guy, and stole his mic.
You replaced it with a mic that doesn't work. What the hell?
Yeah.
You have to use your webcam, bitch.
Dylan, do you have any words to Tony DeAngelo, the man who totally stole your microphone?
Put a couple million on Nathan not scoring. It's some insider info.
What does that have to do with Tony DeAngelo?
I'm saying get fucked.
Slip at the wheel.
Lose a couple million.
So you're
Yeah,
just giving him bad gambling advice, so he's the next
Yes.
Evander Kane. Is that what's going on?
That's
Yes.
exactly what's happening.
I mean, based on Tony DeAngelo's status as a QAnon believer, he'll read it. He'll believe anything he reads. So, just send him whatever, and he'll go for it.
Yeah. So we just spent some time
Smile.
telling you what to do with your gambling. We don't recommend you do that. I guess it's your
Listen,
it's your
our
life. It's your
motto-
money. Do what you want.
Our motto is vote the over on Rico Rantanen shots, and do it for Mo, man.
Do it for Mo. That's been our chant. Whenever Mikko Rantanen has the puck and we want him to shoot the fucking thing, we just yell, "Do it for Mo."
I don't know if Mo listens to the cast, but Mo, I hope you made some money on Miko, my dude.
So speaking of hockey games, we are a hockey podcast. I guess we should stop talking about our bad gambling, start talking about some hockey. So since we recorded the last episode of the podcast, the Avalanche have played 8 games. Very sick. We're way on top of this. The NHL is also kind of on a breakneck schedule right now. With it being a shortened season, so that's gonna happen. But they played 2 games at LA, 2 games in Anaheim, 2 games at home against the Sharks, and 2 games away in Minnesota. And honestly, I think that the Avalanche did a really good job of us setting up a narrative, because those first 3 games in California were some kind of way.
We won 2 of them, though.
Yeah, we won 2 of them. The last 3 games they played against those California teams were another kind of way. We won 2 of them. And man, this Minnesota series that just played out over the last couple days, something else entirely. And honestly, I don't know if it's good or bad, but I guess we'll have plenty to talk about going forward. Let's start talking with those first 3 games, the ones that we played against the LA Kings and that first game against the Ducks, because they all had kind of a similar feel to them going in and coming out of it.
I feel like the Avs didn't hit their stride until recently. Like maybe that second Anaheim game, even though Anaheim won, Colorado should have won.
Yeah.
But I mean, even tonight, I feel like the Avs should have won just based on high danger alone.
Yeah.
But those first 3 California games, the Kings have always been kind of Avs killers. It doesn't matter what players are on the team. They're just the franchise is hey, Colorado? No.
Yeah. It kind of doesn't matter how good or bad either team is. The LA kind of has had the Avalanche's numbers for years now.
Yeah, and I mean, I had a lot to say about those games. I have notes and shit from when we watched them, but it's just it's been a couple weeks.
Yeah,
who gives a fuck?
The specifics are irrelevant. I think the information, the general feel and info, is what's important, and just
but
kind
the
of
Avs
how
just really weren't playing up to their potential.
Yeah, it's kind of the ebbs and flow of the season, and I think we really saw it against the Kings. Like I said last episode, the Avalanche are a team that should be trying to make the pace quick and try to outskate teams. But we mentioned that other teams are going to try to bring them down. And the Kings were very successful with that. They played their game plan, and they made the Avs play their game and made it really hard. The Avs came away with one of the wins in that series, but I mean, the Kings beat them pretty soundly in that second one.
I think that the Avs probably should have won that second one as well, if I'm going to be honest.
Fair.
I feel like it's a common theme in the LA and Anaheim series that the games the Avs played like shit, they won, and the game the Avs played well, they fucking lost. It was so fucking annoying to watch.
Yeah.
Especially that second Anaheim game. Anaheim got one fucking shot on goal in the third period, and it was the empty netter that they scored on.
Yeah.
So fucking dumb, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those 2 Kings games were very different from that Blues blowout that we talked about on the last episode. Doesn't that feel like ages ago at this point?
Well, yeah. People say blowouts don't count. You can't count them. But we 8-0'd St. Louis. 7-3 the Sharks, 5-1 to Minnesota. Like, at what point are we counting those? You know what I mean?
Those are just dominant performances. I know that we were watching that first Anaheim game. So the Avs came in, they won the first Kings game, they lost the second one. They came into Anaheim for their first game against them. They played poorly, but ended up winning in overtime. So, like, you know, it is what it is. But they were playing very wonky. And I remember that it stood out to me that Devin, you were watching that game with us. I can't remember if Dylan saw that one with us or not, but I know Devin was there, and it
I've been
really
for every
seemed
game.
like you were feeling some kind of way about that game.
And we finished that one on overtime, didn't we?
Yeah, that was the one that Landeskog scored in overtime.
Yeah, we got that TikTok of, oh no, oh no.
Oh no.
Yeah, that game was very strange. I've used this term several times, but it felt like Bizarro World.
Yeah.
I think yesterday's Wild game really encapsulated that the most, so we can get to that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Ducks thing was definitely like, that whole game was just like, what the fuck is happening, bro?
Yeah.
This team is trash. I feel like it was a lot of Gibson just being tight, though. Both of those Ducks games, Gibson was just like, whatever, dude.
Yeah, he was unreal both those games, but I feel like the first game, the Ducks were really slowing them down like the Kings were the nights before, and it just felt like they shouldn't be doing that. Like, you take a look at that Ducks roster, and it really just feels like they should not be able to stop the Avalanche, and they just did.
They have like 3 notable players, and then ooh, that team is rough, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They got it figured out. Like, I don't know. I feel like the Avalanche are playing down, maybe, or something. It's frustrating, man. I feel like you see a lot of chances that should go in and don't. They just like whiff on an open net or something, and it's like, I don't know, man. Even tonight, we can get to it later, but even tonight, it was like the game could have been Avs up by 4 in the first fucking period, man. Like, come on. I don't know. That was the story in the Anaheim games, though, too. It was just like Gibson was good. There was a bunch of chances that didn't go in. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to watch, man. It feels like shit. You had a bunch of Avs fans who were just like, the team's not good. Alternating lower and uppercase. Cup contenders, huh? And it's like, yes, they're a good team. Like, yeah, fucking Tampa Bay won the cup last year and went 1-9 at the beginning of the season. Like, what do you want, man? Fuck.
Very hard to score when the enemy team's goalie is like the best player on the team.
He's 6'9", dude. I don't know how actually fucking tall he is, but John Gibson's 6'9". Well, you're not gonna score on him.
Yeah, John Gibson is kind of unreal sometimes. He's been a goalie that I've been looking at for a while now. I initially was not on the John Gibson train, but it was pointed out to me, like, some of his advanced stats and stuff like that really makes him a really, like, just dominant presence in net. But now that my eyes have been open to him, it's, like, clear as day. And I feel like maybe I was stupid for not noticing it before. And Anaheim fans, you got a good one. We'll see how that lasts with the way that the team is going, but, you know.
I attribute my love of John Gibson to AJ Hafley. Because he just sings his praises to the high heavens, and I finally sat down and like started paying attention. Because Anaheim, I feel like, is one of those teams you forget exists in the league.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, those guys are there doing whatever they do. Very sick. So I just don't pay attention to it. John Gibson is so tight, bro.
Yeah.
He's so good. He's kind of, for the last couple of years since I've been turned on to him, been like my kind of dream Avalanche acquisition. It's kind of like 3 days before the Kadri trade, I talked to you and I was like, I would love to have Kadri on the team, and it happened. I tried to throw that out there for Gibson, and you know, the universe didn't feel similarly, but you know.
But I mean, I think the big takeaway from this one here is that, like, the Avs played in 3 very frustrating games that were kind of hard to watch and had some concern going forward, and still managed to win 2 of those games, right?
Yes.
Like, at some point, what you say is, the points are all that matters. We know what the weaknesses are, and we hope we get them figured out. For the most part, it was driving the pace. It was that second line being able to perform, which was a struggle early on and throughout these 3 games. They've turned it up recently, so that is no longer a concern.
Dude, Sod's insane. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
Again, can ignore it for now, but
yes.
He struggled though. He looked like ass.
Yeah,
he was
really
losing
did.
the puck constantly, like just couldn't get anything done. But I mean, it's a new team, man. And the COVID stuff, they haven't played in months. Like, the Avs played a lot longer than Chicago did. So the time he had on the ice,
damn, yeah, you're right though.
The time he had on the ice was like a lot less than what the Avs did. He's been out for longer. Like, it just is what it is. It's okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know what these guys off ice, like off season training looks like. And I don't know how COVID affected that, but I just don't feel like you can always expect every team to come out and be guns blazing right away.
No.
Some of them do, but everyone thinks the Oilers are hella good, but they're playing the Senators and shit like that. So
that's my favorite thing right now is that that all Canadian division is averaging like 1 or 2 more goals a game, whatever it is, than anybody else in any other division. And it's like, yeah, you have 3 dominant teams, and the rest are like a garbage fire that's worse than the West. Like,
the Habs are so fucking sick, dude. Not even gonna lie though.
Yeah,
by objective means, I think they're looking so good. All right, pop quiz for the 2 new rookies. What team is the Habs?
Oh god, they're not gonna get this. This is mean.
I just want to highlight how still, like, when I was new, this name was like, what?
Everywhere. It's HABS, Habs.
Any guesses? Canadian team.
No.
They're just like, wait, what are the teams in the Canadian division?
So there's a team in Canada called the Canadiens.
Yes.
Not the Canadians. That's the Canadiens, specifically with an
French.
And they're also referred to as Les Habitants.
Oh.
So the Habs.
Yes.
Some might say the has-beens because they've sucked for forever, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're good or not. I know there's a lot of hype going around them, but they are a fun team to watch.
Nick Suzuki's so fucking tight, bro.
Dude, okay, so listen. Sorry in advance to all the Kings fans that are listening to this. I know some of you, and I know you fucking hate the Canadians, and with good reason. But goddamn, that Canadians team is so fun to watch. Nick Suzuki is ridiculous. Tyler Toffoli, we can share the love of Tyler Toffoli, Kings fans. He is doing really good there. Like, Tomas Tatar. Like, that team is sick.
So I remember very specifically, I believe you went with me to a preseason game against Vegas.
That is correct.
And Nick Suzuki was playing that game, and he lit us the fuck up.
Yep, Nick Suzuki was very good in that game.
And I don't know necessarily the trade tree. I mean, Pacioretty, obviously. But
yeah, Pacioretty.
I don't necessarily like his path and all this other shit. And I know that the roster was weird because it was a preseason game. It doesn't mean anything. But I watched Nick Suzuki, and I was like, holy shit, this guy's good. And then I was just waiting to see him in the NHL, and it took him like 3 fucking years, but now he's here, and
yeah, he had a really nifty move in the shootout against Vancouver that was really fun. I showed that one to Devin. I'm not sure if Dylan's ended up seeing that. But I was absolutely gushing about Nick Suzuki to Devin.
I remember this.
Just gushing, absolutely moist as AF, man. Like,
yes, sir. He was having a good time. He was just like, look at this shit, dude. Look.
That was the first shootout you'd ever seen too, right? You didn't even know what happened.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was indeed the first shootout I saw, and man, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Shootout kind of sucks, but they're fun to watch.
It's a really unsatisfying way to end a game, but it's what it is.
Also, with this information about these Habs guys, is cans taken? I don't see why we don't just call them the cans.
The cans. Cans is not taken.
Nice cans, dude. No, the canes are taken though. Cans, yeah, dude. The Cans are like the AHL affiliate of the Hurricanes. Let's go. I don't know what their AHL team is, but let's call them the Cans from now on. So taking a look at that trade, it was Max Pacioretty to Vegas for Thomas Tatar, Nick Suzuki, and a second.
Can you fucking imagine?
You gotta feel really good. Gotta feel really good if you're Montreal on that one, eh?
Pacioretty's good, but like, come on, bro.
Oh my god. Yeah, Montreal got away with one on that one. Holy crap.
It's pretty amazing. Montreal's had a ton of good players forever, and they just have never been able to be good. Until now, I suppose.
See, that's because they draft a bunch of wingers, and then they try to make them play center. That's what they do.
Maximum Domi.
So yeah, I mean, we're getting pretty far off topic, but this is for the pure love of hockey, so I'll accept it.
Those first 3 California games sucked. Whatever.
Yeah,
they were trash. Fucking whatever, man. Fuck the Kings. Fuck the Ducks. Shitty teams. The Avs should have beaten them 4-0. Not a big deal. They couldn't figure it out. McKinnon's been not scoring. He's been assisting. Now he won't be doing anything, but
we'll get to that.
Yeah. Fuck. So that was the first leg of the California teams. Kings and the first game against Anaheim. The second leg was something completely different because they just decided like, hey, we played shitty against the Ducks and we won, but that's not a good victory. So we're going to play absolutely out of our fucking minds, insane hockey and lose. That
let's
second
play
game
good and
Ducks.
lose. That's better.
Very tight.
So that second Ducks game, they had 3 chances the entire game to score a goal. The Ducks. And they scored on every single one of them. Like, that was it. That was how dominant that game was and how lucky the Ducks were in that game. They got like a fluky shot off of a defenseman's stick off of a face-off that went top shelf and in.
Dude, it was so frustrating. And that was another one where the Avs just like couldn't find the back of the net, but were constantly generating high danger. Like,
yeah.
That was maybe the most frustrating game of the series to watch. Maybe this one, actually, of the season, I should say. Mm-hmm. Maybe this one topped it eventually, but...
So, like, it's very weird because they lost, right? But I think that might be the best game that the Avalanche play this year. That's how good they were. Like, compared to the other team.
I would have felt that way until last game against Minnesota.
But,
so the blowout against, like, the St. Louis was just, like... It didn't feel like it was dominant necessarily. It was just like, oh, this is going in? Okay.
Yeah,
Bennington's
just everything
trash?
went in.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this other guy's trash too? Whatever. I liked that guy. Who was it that speared Bennington in the nuts?
That was Kane.
It was Kane?
It was Evander Kane.
Kane was like, what kind of racist shit did you use to post on Twitter? Bam. Nut shot.
I think Here's Your Replay said Bennington must have been telling him that he should have invested in Bitcoin instead. That was a pretty good one. Listen,
we need Doge. Yeah. Everyone needs to invest in Doge. All right, let me see where Doge is at real quick. Live looking at my portfolio.
It's 4 cent.
Hell yeah, bro. I'm up 30 on Doge. Let's go. Doge is the fucking future. Hold, dime in hands, boy.
Listen, I'm still waiting on my verification. But yeah, I mean, like, that Ducks game, they were unreal. There's a chart that I see passed around a lot for lots of different hockey games. That's kind of like a tug of war chart where it's like the quality of play for one team versus the quality of play for the other team, and which team is advantaged and by how much. At one point in that Ducks game, the chart for the Avalanche tugged all the way Avalanche as far as you could possibly go and flatlined.
Flatlined to max for like 10 minutes.
I have seen lots of those charts. I have never seen a chart as crazy as that one. Like up to that point in my like hockey fandom, I think that might have been the best game that I have seen the Avalanche like play. But you don't get any of the reward because they lost to an insane goalie and 3 fluky chances.
I went to Evolving Hockey to find the game flow for this Minnesota game.
Mm-hmm.
But I might be a little too drunk to find what I want. Right
Oh, I see. Random vodka.
I'm gonna assume it mostly went down the middle. I don't know. That's irrelevant. Yeah, that Ducks game. I mean, the Avs dominated. There's nothing else to say. They just did such a good job. They played like we knew they could, and you can't be too mad about those games, right? But when that game happens on the back of the Avs underperforming for 5 games, it's like, I feel like shit about this. And, you know, Denver sports fans are overreacting, talking about how shitty the Avs are, even though they dominated and lost anyway. Like, fuck off.
Yeah. Dylan, did you watch that game with us? I can't remember. I can't remember which of the Ducks games you watched with us.
I missed the first one, but I watched the last one of the series.
Okay, that was the one you wanted to watch, I guess, despite the fact they lost, because, like, man, they were just...
Yeah, I think this was when, it was either this one or the next game that I attended where we were like, maybe bad luck is Dylan.
Oh, yeah, I think this was it. Yeah, I think we identified you as the jinx on this one, huh?
Yep. Can't watch hockey anymore. Unfortunate for you. I know it kills you. My fucking... Dude, my jersey was such a winning percentage until tonight. It finally lost. The power of the new jersey is going to pull through, and it didn't. I was so bummed.
I made the mistake of taking my jersey off during the middle of the game because I was eating something with sauce.
Oh, it all makes sense now.
And
you ruined it.
Yeah, that was me tonight, guys. I'll accept the blame on this one.
Well, so this jersey was from Adidas. It's authentic. It was $90 for a blank Avalanche 3rd jersey, and I was like, this is my beater now.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I just ordered a ton of hockey equipment. I'm gonna skate in this thing. Like,
yeah,
it's just gonna be my beater, man. Like, it's tight. $90. Like, what a sale. Obviously, $90 you generally don't want to throw away, but you know, whatever. Comparatively to my $300 hockey jerseys, this one's like, hell yeah, dude.
Listen,
tight.
Do you know what $90 could get you in GameStop stock a week ago?
You know how much fucking Doge you could get with $90?
Dude, you can get a lot of Doge. I could get like 120 Doge with $50 last time I checked. It's a lot of
you
Doge.
Get 420 Doge right now. For $90.
420 Doge. Catch us at our new podcast, Doge Master 69420.
Dogecast, a hockey podcast.
So yeah, I mean that first Ducks game felt really good until we lost, and then it didn't feel so good. So the Avs responded by playing against the San Jose Sharks. Again, not quite as out of their minds as they were the game before, but this time resulting in an overwhelming beating.
Yeah, how about those Sharks games, boys?
Yeah, both
the
of those
Sharks are
games.
terrible.
They really are.
I don't really talk a whole lot, but I have 2 words. Get fucked.
Get fucked.
Did you watch those Sharks games with us, Dylan? Did your curse wear off on those?
I missed the first, then I saw the second.
Oh, okay.
If I remember correctly.
We won both, so the curse has been broken.
Congratulations, you were a jinx, but no more.
I think the Sharks' main problem is that they lack in skill.
Yeah.
You might say they're negative in skill, that they have a skill debt. In the same way that Evander Kane has a monetary debt, the Sharks just are negative good.
Sharks are negative good. Evander Kane was negative good in that series because Evander Kane the entire year has been playing like a complete and total asshole.
He played like he wanted a fine, but he wouldn't be able to afford the fine. So I don't know what his end game is there, but holy fuck, bud.
Greetings from the land of vodka. But yeah, man, he was taking some penalties that had me scratching my head. Not that the Avalanche power play looked very good. If there's one thing to take away from this, it's that like the Avalanche have a top 5 power play in the league
Greetings
going
from the
into the
land of
Minnesota
vodka.
series, and they just don't look good. Like I just feel like that's not sustainable at all. Like it kind of baffles me. I heard like
The Avs are
top
going to
5.
ride on the success of that Blues game for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
5 power play goals, like
it baffled me because they do not look like they are that good on the power play. At least not the top line, which is the biggest conundrum, because that second power play unit, for the most part, usually looks absolutely fine. Sometimes they go out there and they look like completely lost, but like for the most part,
now that
I feel
Taves
like
is hurt, like
yeah,
he got hurt in that first Wild game, right? Not in the Sharks game.
I can't remember. There have been so many injuries. I don't remember when they happened.
Listen, we have to fire our trainers, man. Taves blocked a shot. You're telling me that the trainer didn't fucking see the shot coming mid-shot and run out and dive in front of it to block it for Taves? What is that? EJ smacked his head on the fucking ice. The trainer didn't run out, see him falling, and fucking land under him to block the head from hitting the ice. Like, what are we paying them for?
Yeah, so what you're
it's ridiculous. We have to fire the trainers.
Yeah, so what you're referring to is there's been lots of outcry on Avalanche Twitter to fire the physical training staff for the Avalanche, which is really absurd because I don't know, dude. Like Pierre-Edouard Bellemare got injured during that second Sharks game.
Somebody fell in front of him.
Fell in front of him.
The guy lost his fucking foot. Like, yeah.
Yeah, like the knee bent in a way it's not supposed to bend. No amount of physical training is going to stop you from being injured in that.
Listen, you say no amount of physical training can stop you from being injured in that. The physical trainers needed to stop fucking time, run out, and displace them on the ice so that collision didn't happen. Clearly.
Yeah, I mean,
come on, bro.
It's absurd. I don't understand how you can be calling for their jobs when these are circumstances like you said. Eric Johnson got injured in that first Wild game. He fell on his fucking head. Like he got like tripped. He got run into the boards. The guy got his foot behind EJ's feet. He fell over, tripped him in kind of like a slew foot. I don't even necessarily give a fuck about the slew foot, even though lots of people do. But then he fucking landed on his fucking face on the ice. Like, what are you gonna do?
Well, he needed to strengthen his brain muscles so they didn't get such pain from that impact. Like, fuck off, bro.
Matt Calvert's missed the last 4 games now, 3 or 4 games.
He didn't take a hit. He just literally was like, hey, I don't feel right. My head isn't doing good.
Yeah.
He's been wearing a fucking tinted visor. I'm sorry the fucking athletic trainers didn't open up his skull and repair his brain. Like, fuck off, dude.
I know a guy who might be able to open up Matt Calvert's head and fix his brain. Rocky's general manager, Jeff British.
Listen, just because I watch a bunch of brain surgery doesn't make I can do it right after. It doesn't make me a brain surgeon. Fuck that guy. Whatever. I'm not even getting into that shit.
No.
It's a bunch of trash.
Yeah, Colorado sports has been such a dumpster fire recently.
The Avs are the only hope, and so people swarm to the Avs, not understanding that hockey is a game of mistakes and ups and downs.
Yeah.
And so they overreact to every bad stretch, and it's like, bro, shut up. And people still shit on Sod, and he's 7 points in 4 games. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, so it's absolutely unreal because the Avs looked like shit, and they won 2 out of 3 of their shit games, right? And then they looked absolutely amazing and won 2 out of 3 of those, and they're like, well, those are blowouts, so they don't really count. And it's like, dude, Pick a fucking lane. What are you doing?
Yeah, honestly, it's frustrating. I don't know. I people say Broncos fans are the worst fans. Just like people I know from abroad who like football, they're like Broncos fans are the worst. And I'm just gonna assume that most of those people are like the same. I'm assuming there's like some throughput there that is just like Broncos to Avs, just because the Broncos are so bad now. And it's like, yeah, I guess I see why you'd say that if that's fucking where it's coming from.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I mean, so the Sharks games were absolutely sick. Absolute decimation in that first one. They just blew them out like what 8-3.
I thought Eric Carlson would be pretty good after having 6 months to rest.
He
Or even more
had
than that. They didn't even make the playoffs, did they? They were just totally trashed. He had like
Yeah.
10 months to not worry about his bionic ankle.
So he actually had a couple of like specific plays where I was like, "Fuck, god damn it, that's EK65 on the other ice." I guess like,
What were they like? Did they come from his intelligence as a player or his skating?
well,
Like,
his stick positioning for the most part, and there were a couple times where he skated back into the play in a
Yeah.
really unfortunate situation. I couldn't tell you like what his feet look like because listen, I like me some wiki feet, but I don't like him that much that I'm staring at Eric Carlson skates all day.
I just felt like I don't know. I feel like he looks better than he had been, but everyone's like, this is the first time he's been fully healthy in forever. Ever since Matt Cook fucking yeeted the blade into his Achilles, like this is the first time he's been able to recover, and I don't see it.
Fuck Matt Cook.
Fuck Matt Cook.
I don't care what team you like. I think we can all agree. Fuck Matt Cook.
Yes.
We have shown Dylan and Devin some Matt Cook highlights, if you want to call them that. Where he just absolutely ruins people's careers for no reason.
Unpog.
So yeah, I mean,
Matt
I guess
Cook
what I'm
is what you
trying to
might
say.
call a bitch.
I know what I guess what I'm trying to say is we need to take Josh Archibald, Matt Cook, Todd Bertuzzo, and Steve Bertuzzo? No, Bertuzzi. Tyler Bertuzzi and Steve Bertuzzi. And put them in a gladiator ring and see which one comes out the best.
Don't forget Zach Ronaldo.
Oh, God, I meant to say Zach Ronaldo. Fuck. I'm at these, like, PM times. Not Archibald. Archibald's fine. He fought Nathan McKinnon in that same, like, play that I'm thinking of. Yeah. So Zach Ronaldo, Tyler Bertuzzi, Steve Bertuzzi, Matt Cook.
It's Todd Bertuzzi, buddy boy.
God damn it. Is it Tyler Bertuzzo? Is that why I'm
Robert
fucked up?
Bertuzzo.
I'm going to cut this entire segment.
Not a brain user, I see.
It's the Avalanche training staff. They didn't put me back together right.
Oh, fuck. Well, like, okay. So, seeing them get criticized so heavily is kind of frustrating. One, because there's nothing they could have done for half of these injuries. Two, the way they handled Timmins' head injury was world class.
They were overly cautious. Rightfully so.
He's been really bad, but you know, he also missed a year of hockey and then missed another 8 months of hockey. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, he shows that he has the smarts. Just sometimes he like doesn't have the posture, the poise that like a Byram does.
Oh my God.
I don't feel like I see Byram look very uncomfortable ever. And when he fails in his confidence, he recovers. Always. I don't feel like I've seen a single play where he hasn't made up for a mistake he's made within 5 seconds of him making the mistake. And Timmins has just been falling down all the time, sliding into the net. Like,
yeah. He has
you
not
know,
looked
and
very
it sucks to see.
spot.
Like, I really cheer for him. Unfortunately, we have like 9.5 Demon injured, so he's kind of just a mainstay right now.
Yeah.
But
okay,
I have a lot of love for the guy.
We need to do a little bit of housekeeping because I feel like there's a lot of details that we may have forgotten because it's been like 2 weeks. Ian Cole, the deadliest ass in the NHL, is no longer a Colorado Avalanche.
He's gone, dude.
We
Hell
traded
yeah.
him.
I was so excited about that until all of our other demon got injured, and now we really need him.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We traded him to Minnesota for a defenseman that we put on waivers. So that was sick. Apparently the breakup was bad. Ian Cole seems like he doesn't like the fact that we traded him, but also we weren't going to give him the ice time he wanted, so I don't know, man. Figure your fucking life out. So one of the reasons that we got rid of Ian Cole is because we have this new shiny new Bowen Byram who made an appearance during that first Ducks game.
Hell yeah, dude.
Why didn't
It is
Pattern
bow time.
Dude, bow time is insane. I don't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry. I'm
No, you're
really
good.
curious about why we played Jacob McDonald instead of Greg Pattern tonight. Are there problems with Pattern now?
I think it's a cap situation. I think Pattern makes more money than McDonald.
Could be a cap situation. I've heard a lot of people say that Pattern is like also kind of locker room aides.
Oh, that sucks.
Like people, I don't remember who it was, but I saw like we traded for him, and then I looked and saw people quoting people like from like maybe it was the Rangers. I don't remember what teams he's been on, who literally just came out and said like this guy sucks. Like everyone's pulling for the team, and then Greg Pattern is not. Like that kind of quote, and I was like, why do we get this guy?
No. Well, I mean, fuck that guy then, I guess.
I'm speaking out of my ass here, honestly, but people were not happy for that reason. So, I mean, do we play Jacob McDonald because Greg Pattern is like being a bitch already? Like, who knows? I don't know. Let's get reactionary on this podcast.
Who would have suspected that there is a toxic defenseman in the New York Ranger organization?
I don't know if it was Rangers. I don't know, man. I just threw out an organization. I'm fucked up on straight vodka right now, but
Vodka.
Curtis Vodka.
I don't know where Greg Pattern came from. I mean, other than Minnesota, obviously. So I don't know. I can't really correct the record for you. But we'll just assume
Here's the thing. The details don't matter. The guy is trash. Fuck Greg Pattern.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm getting
waivers.
news, breaking news, from our ghost member of the podcast that Devon Taves sustained his injury during that Sharks series, going back to something we were unsure of.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't like. We have Bowen Byram come in for Ian Cole. I would take that trade every single time, especially since the kid came out. He looks poised, like you said. He makes mistakes. He makes up for them immediately. And he seems to be talking a lot of shit out on that ice in a way that makes me kind of giddy. Because he is getting under some veterans' skins, and they're just, like, doing dumb shit.
Getzloff, Burns, am I missing anyone? Just all of them are just smacking him around because he pisses them off.
Yeah, it's bow time, boys. What do you guys think about bow time?
He's positive, dude, as an influence overall for the team.
Yeah.
You even saw him on the bench sitting next to Gruby, and he just like whispers in Gruby's ear, and Gruby starts cracking up. Like,
yes.
I just love him, dude. And you guys know we watch these games together, and I'm just fucking constantly, damn, Byram is sick.
Yeah, it seems like every game since he's been on the team, you're like, hell yeah, dude.
He's not perfect. He's a rookie. He's not Kale good, where he's ripping points, scoring goals constantly. But in terms of like, when you watch a new NHL player, especially someone who's been given the minutes that Bo has, because he's been played up in some really good guys, you see them freak out a little bit. You see them fall all over, slide into the net, maybe Connor Timmins.
Not Byram.
No, he's not doing any of that.
No.
He's chilling, bro. He has more to give. He has space to grow intensely.
Mhm.
But just as a baseline, like this guy belongs here, there's not a big question. This is the game tonight is the game he played that made it so his ELC slides.
Yeah.
He burned a year of his ELC, which is the correct terminology.
Would really prefer if you didn't use the term burn that everybody uses.
It is the correct terminology, one that is commonly used, has no connotations. If you think otherwise, fuck you.
People got so mad that everybody was just like, Bowen Byram's going to burn the year of that ELC. They're like,
what do you mean burn? He belongs here.
He belongs here. Why are you saying such negative things about my sweet boy, Bobai?
There's a narrative around this player. Ugh. Yeah, no, he shows that he belongs. Yeah, they used it for Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews and all the other fucking players who have ELCs, because that's just the reality of the term.
Yeah.
But either way, Bowen Byram belongs. The staff believed he belongs, and now he burned the year of his ELC, and he's going to be out for the rest of the year. I remember coming in, we talked about, we were like, is he going to play 6 games? Like, is that it? Is he going to stay? Like, we didn't know. We haven't seen him. We watched him at World Juniors, but World Juniors competition is different than an NHL competition. And he's shown, hey, fuck you. I'm tight.
Real quick, going back for the rookies and anybody new who might be listening to this podcast, what is an ELC and why is burning it important, and how do you burn an ELC?
That
An
is a
entry
good
level
question.
contract is mad cheap. What is it, like 700K, 800K, 900K?
Yeah,
In
so
that realm?
it's basically league minimum money. You have to take an entry level contract your first few years in the NHL. I think unless you have like you're over a certain age or something like that. It's 3 years. You have to take that money. You cannot make more money than that unless you renegotiate the contract with the team.
And the money's dependent on your draft position generally.
Yes. And
But if you play in any given year, if you play, normally you play 9 games and that's the cutoff. So if you play the 9 games, you still have 3 years left. Once you play that 10th game, that counts as your first year, and then you have
Yes.
2 left. Because it's the COVID shortened season, it's 6 games, and that's the max you can play. But since tonight was his 7th, now it has slid. The year has been burned. So this officially counts as the first year of his entry level contract.
yes, so we have him for this year and 2 more years before he needs to renegotiate a contract with the Avalanche, during which time he will be making more money than he is now, which is important because there is a salary cap in the NHL.
We're going to have a fucking problem.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be very disheartening.
I'm happy we got Miko at, what is it, like 9.6? Was that it?
I think
That's his
he's
number.
yeah.
I think it's lower than that. He's number 96, so I had 9.6 in my head because
Maybe it's like 8 or
but-
something. Hold on, let me look at his contract.
it's 9 something. It's not 8, it's 9 something. But we have him, McKinnon's coming up, Landeskog's this year, Kale's this year. Byram's going to be coming up. Like, oh man, we're going to have to spend so much money on these players. Fuck, bro.
Yeah, he's at 9.25.
Yeah, 9.25. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Graves, we paid a bunch. I assume Graves is the guy who's taken in the expansion draft for this year. That or
Do you,
Donskoy.
the way he's playing?
Maybe not. Him or Donskoy, I think, are the targets. Maybe Jost if someone's feeling real generous, but I don't want to have a fucking expansion draft conversation right now, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be rough. I feel like we're going to lose one of them. We're going to lose one of them, or we're going to lose a large amount of other players, and salary cap sucks.
Well, so I talk shit about Graves, rightfully so, I think, right? Because
He
if
sucked
there's
tonight too.
one through line across the entirety of the season, the bad California stretch, the good California stretch, and even like the last 2 games against Minnesota, one thing has stayed consistent, and it's that Ryan Graves has been very bad. He got benched for a game before they needed him to come up because of injuries.
He would be benched now if it wasn't for injuries.
Yeah.
Especially after tonight. He'd be gone, man. He'd be done. He's been really, really, really bad. I think he really benefited from playing with the top line in KO last season. And I think maybe now that he doesn't have someone to cover up for all of his mistakes, because what's he going to do? Play with Patterson or Timmins or whatever? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Graves actively hinders whoever he's on a line with, and even last year I felt like he hindered Kale's offense. And I don't know. He seems like a good dude. He has sick flow.
His
He's
flow
a
is
total
very
babe,
good.
but
Yeah.
like, come on, dude. We gave him so much money for 3 years, and then got Taves, and it's like, what are we doing?
We gave him a 3x3.
Wait, it was like 4x3. Yeah, I think.
No, 3.1. I just looked it up.
Okay, that's too much for Ryan Graves, though.
Yeah, it's too much. He should be at a like 1.52 max, and that's being generous.
Yeah, he had a contract year. He played out of his mind, and we overpaid him, and it's like,
it's concerning. I want them to figure out the Ryan Graves situation. I feel like Ryan Graves is the kind of player that, like you said, really benefited from having a really good two-way man on the other side of his pairing, like Cale Makar. But the reality of the situation is now that we have Bowen Byram coming in, playing really solid, looking really good for a rookie. Cale Makar is starting to pick it back up. We have Jonathan Taves, not Jonathan Taves. Fuck me, Devon Taves.
Famous defenseman Jonathan Toews.
Jonathan Toews. Man, the names tonight. Yeah, we have Devon Taves, Sam Girard, another through line across this entire stretch. Sam Girard is playing out of his mind.
What an absolute stud. Just oozing pure masculinity and testosterone, man. Revolutions per minute out of the building. Just an absolute piece of man meat ruining everybody's night. He's so sick.
An absolute Beyblade master.
Let it fucking rip, dude.
So we had a little bit of this conversation, but last year Sam Girard, it seemed like he was trying to work on the defensive aspect of his game, because he came in initially, he was very good offensively, made some defensive mistakes. I feel like last year he was working on his defense a lot more, but it came to the detriment of his offense. Like you say, he just didn't look very comfortable in some situations. He tried to take some risks that didn't really pay off. And I feel like this is the year it's all coming together for him, where he's absolutely insane on the back end, and he's just making some ridiculous passes and creating opportunities that are unreal.
He's clicking, bro. Just with himself, not with anyone else. I mean, with everyone else too, but he just figured his shit out, man. And he's tight because he's fun to watch for new people. And he's fun to watch for people who know what they're like looking at.
Yeah, he's just the consummate player for both of them.
He's dominant.
Thoughts on Sam Girard? The rookies.
Yeah, rookies. Share thine Sam Girard fellatio.
Well, like the last time we were on the pod, I had mentioned, he's just really enjoyable to watch. He just does things that other people don't. Spin.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Like I said before, I just love the way that he says "fuck you" to anyone that he's taking the puck from.
It's nice to be able to because he identify people.
Yeah, his physical
he's
presence is
5'7",
easy
and
to
he's
see.
just like, whatever, bro.
Yeah,
He's fucking 5'7", and he's like, whatever, bro. These guys are all 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". I'm 5'7". It's not a big deal.
it's unreal. Okay,
There's a lot to talk about, man. We have a fucking big gap in podcasts, and then as we go, we think about shit, and it's like, oh man, what's going on?
The hockey is interesting. I don't know. I don't think Devin's there yet, though. I hope that he is getting there. We've talked to Dylan a little bit, and I mean, pulling back the veil just a little bit, you don't seem to be catching on to it in like the enjoyment levels as much as Devin is.
I'm
It's not
judging
like,
you.
ugh, this sport is awful and it hurts my eyes. It's more, I don't know. It's just hard for me to get into it.
Yeah. You're
I
absolutely
enjoy
crazy.
hanging out with you guys, though.
And we can definitely cut this if we don't want to make it awkward. But I don't know.
You're a bitch, and I'm far from the only one who thinks so.
Dan, you're right. Me too.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if Devin's feeling this way, but sometimes hockey just feels like you immerse yourself in that world sometimes, and you're like, oh, this is kind of just life, I guess. And life passes you by really quick sometimes.
Shit comes at you fast, just like the puck for that Minnesota Wild player who got fucking smashed right in the face. Good night, Eriksson Ek.
I feel like when I'm watching hockey, I'm having a good time with my friends, the boys.
Mhm.
And like you see some of the shit that these guys are doing and you're just like, oh. And it's always just a fun time. That being said, I'm very new, so I don't understand a whole lot of like what makes things impressive so sometimes. But you know, just seeing a human being doing this shit is very fun and interesting to watch.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between sitting there and seeing McKinnon do something and you're like, fucking, well, all right, buddy. God damn. And when I'm sitting there saying, oh, fuck, Byram's good. Because a lot of stuff when I'm like, oh, fuck, Byram good, it's like, oh, this is like a super small thing where he just doesn't freak out. He doesn't trip up. He doesn't like lose his way. He does a between the legs pass along the wall and just like keeps possession and keeps things going. But maybe that's not super apparent if you don't know what hockey looks like after a long time of exposure, right? Whereas with McKinnon, it's like, all right, man, you do you, buddy. I guess
Yeah.
it's your world. We're fucking living in it. Like, okay.
Yeah, it's really weird because it doesn't feel like we've been actively following this game for 5 years.
I know.
Like I said, life passes you by. Um and I couldn't tell you when a lot of this stuff clicked for me personally. I it's just like accumulated knowledge, and the culmination of all my past experiences tell me like, Bo and Byram, good.
Good.
Um, but like, I mean, I hope at some point it ends up clicking for you guys. Uh, just because, man, this game brings me lots of joy, and I am lucky to have a lot of people in my life that I am very close to that also feel
You're
that joy of hockey. And man, like just like so I like I've said, my girlfriend is a huge Kings fan. She was in high school during those two Kings Cups. She got to live that. Her family's always been really huge Kings fans. She's named after a fucking Kings player, for God's sake. So like just being able to go over to her parents' house and talk to her dad and be like, "Yo, hockey." And just be like, "Yo, hockey," is just really awesome. And I guess that's kind of why we're doing this, right? To spread the love and try to have other people be able to feel that experience. And I know it's not the same for everybody, but if I can do something to help people feel that kind of joy in their lives, I think it's worth doing.
well, and even more importantly than your girlfriend, you have me.
No, fuck you.
You have me.
Yeah, so that kind of like loops back to some feelings that I haven't really spoken about. Is that I don't know if I necessarily need a deep technical understanding to just sit down and have fun with you guys and just watch the game, right?
Yeah, it's just vibing at some point too.
I would definitely like to have it so that I can have a deeper conversation about it. But what I have seen, it is fun, and I look forward to the rest of the season, and you know, like the Avs just dominating everyone. Very cool.
Yeah. The Avs winning the cup.
Yes.
Oh, if
Smile.
I want to be able to appreciate a cup year, I think I told you this, Jake. I don't know if I told these other two guys, but I'm going, since we're bearing our hearts here on this pod and getting deep. I remember when I was a kid, like I said, I didn't have the
Getting
attention
pucks in
span.
deep.
Getting pucks in deep. Got that grit. Got that gem. But yeah, when I was a kid, I told you guys I didn't really have the attention span for sports because, you know, kids. Like, they diagnose every, like, other kid with ADHD, but that's just the way kids are, right? I couldn't sit and watch sports unless they were, like, playoff games, right? So a lot of my memories of sports as a kid are me walking around, my dad watching a game, and me just going like, "Oh, did the team make the playoffs?" And him being like, "No, it's like the 20th game of the season or whatever," right?
There's
And
80
then
games, idiot.
I remember specifically I walked into the living room one day when I was like 5 or 6 or whatever, and I'm like, "Oh, did the Avalanche make the playoffs?" And he's like, "They're like 2 minutes away from winning the cup, maybe." Like, or they had just won the cup, or something like that. And me just going like, "Oh, that's really cool," and then just walking away, right? Like, so like that's the most recent cup that they've won. Obviously, I was like a year old or whatever for that first one. So there's definitely no way I could appreciate that. But man, if I can watch these Avalanche win a cup when I know what's going on and can feel that emotion, that'd be
I was
so
born the
awesome.
year the Avs were conceived and birthed.
Oh, that's
So,
right. You were the foretelling of Av's success.
Yeah, so my failures in life are have just been the Avs failures in life, honestly.
Honestly.
My school expulsion lines up with a lot of,
I forgot about that. That's really funny.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we're kind of just sitting here circle jerking about hockey and how sweet it is. But I would say definitely that it has brought me a lot of happiness. And even this season, like I feel like my knowledge and my ability to understand the more like critical and like minute aspects of the game has even been coming this year, and like kind of trying to look out for specific things in a way that I didn't before.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a journey. I don't know. Hockey's really cool. It's kind of like playing StarCraft, but you don't place the units or choose the units. You just kind of watch the simulation play out. But it's pretty gratifying. I don't know. It's fun. It's fun cheering for shit. It's fun cheering for shit you have no input in, too.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels futile. And I used to be a sports are dumb kind of guy. And why would you do that? It's stupid. But hockey's tight, man.
Hockey's tight.
Sports are still dumb. Why the fuck would you do that? But hockey's sick.
Yeah, I don't know. I just hope that we welcome some people into the fold. I know we've already talked about, Devin and Dylan love hanging out with the homies. I love hanging out with the homies. Let's continue to hang out with homies.
Let's transition to the most enjoyable and welcoming aspect of hockey, Tony DeAngelo.
Yeah, so real quick, we blew out the Wild. The Wilds blew out our players' ability to play hockey.
The Mild are trash. The Mild injured us. They even tried to engage in fucking virus-based warfare with the fucking COVID tonight.
We'll get back into that. But yeah, so we blew them out game 1, and then we lost in overtime tonight in game 2. It's no big deal. The worst part is that, like, while we were looking good, we sustained a lot of injuries. The current injury list is Devon Taves, out, Eric Johnson, out, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, out, Calvert, out, and most importantly, Nathan McKinnon.
Francouz out.
Francouz is out. And most importantly, Nathan McKinnon is out. Bad. Very bad. We're a deep enough team that I think that we can get past it, but I mean, going forward, injuries are a concern. Hopefully we get people to get healthy, but you just never know.
Yeah, fuck the Mild and their geeky ass Subway jerseys.
Those jerseys looked really bad.
They're trash. Fuck Matt Dumba and Marcus Foligno. And fuck the rest of the team, including Greenway, especially Greenway. Hate the Wild. The Mild. I don't know, man. They played a good game tonight. It was frustrating. The Avs had 7 fucking open net chances they missed on in the first period. So,
yeah. The Avs dominated that first period. The rest just were games.
I just ended up seeing salty, and that's the reason I drank. Smile.
Yeah. One other quick note I want to put out there before we move on. Philip Grubauer, very, very good in net.
Most wins in the NHL for a goalie right now.
He's playing really good. He's top 5 in goals against per game. He's sitting at 1.75, which is very good. He's also in the top 10 in save percentage.
And he's, I think, the only goalie with 2 shutouts already.
No, there's like 3 other goalies with 2 shutouts, including
Fuck,
one
no.
Semyon Varlamov.
None of those count. Only Grubauer.
But yeah, he's looking like a complete house. Anybody who was worried about him going into the season is dumb.
His name is Grubauer. One of the biggest hockey manufacturers' names is Bauer. You do the fucking math.
Exactly. He was manufactured by hockey people.
He's a mixture of Bauer and Gru, the famous Minion-based.
The main character.
Maybe we just stop right there.
Welcome to Vodka Land, Smile.
Speaking of, maybe we should stop right there. Let's talk about Tony DeAngelo, that whole saga.
Do you want to give a rundown on old Tony D? Tony D's nuts.
So Tony DeAngelo was, I guess you can say now, a defenseman for the New York Rangers. He has been very vocal on Twitter about being like a right-leaning Trump supporter. I don't give a fuck. There's lots of Trump supporters out there. He made this big old deal about how, like, oh, if the difference between you and me is that if my guy loses during this next election, I'll accept it and I'll wish the best for Joe Biden and, move on with life, blah, blah, blah. As we all know, Joe Biden won, Trump lost, and he did not hold true to this. Instead, he got mad when Twitter banned Trump off the internet and deleted his account, right? And I don't give a fuck.
Tony DeAngelo? More like Tony deactivated.
Yeah, Tony deactivated in more ways than one, it turns out now. Like, listen, I don't give a fuck. It's just the hypocrisy that, like, gets me on that one, where he's like, I absolutely would not do the thing I'm going to do. So he created I guess to frame this properly, shortly after Tony DeAngelo left Twitter, there was this Twitter account called Rangers Fan, and then just a bunch of numbers. Like pretty much the equivalence of like a Twitter egg account for those of you who are Twitter users, where this user was going around, and anytime anybody said something bad about Tony DeAngelo, he was like, well, I'd like to see you do better, or like, what about this shitty teammate he had, or that's not all on him, what are you talking about, you don't know what you're doing.
He also said bad things about Buchnevich and Georgiev.
Oh, okay, so that ties in quite a bit, It turns out. So yeah, people were like, oh damn, it's Tony DeAngelo's burner account, as like a joke. So they were trying to mess with this account because, like, even if it's not Tony DeAngelo, it's just somebody going around being an asshole. So, like, you fuck with them. That's what you do on the internet, right? So somebody lured him into a trap, essentially, by showing him random source code. Like the kind that you can get just by right-clicking and hitting inspect on the page or whatever. And they're like, we know it's you,
Tony. Pressing F11 if you have an IT degree.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's just easy to access, and it doesn't show anything, right? And so they're like, we know it's you, Tony DeAngelo. I have the source code to prove it. And he's like,
how
liar.
Did you know? What?
He's like, liar. Prove it. How did you do this? And they're like, we're hackers, Tony.
And then somebody sent him a Grabify link that grabbed his IP address that showed him in New York, and it's like, no, it didn't show him in New York. It showed him in Florida.
It showed him across the street from the Penguins arena.
Oh, the Penguins,
night they were playing the Penguins.
So either somebody was hella good at spoofing and was just mad trolling, or Tony DeAngelo is an idiot. The second one is the correct one, by the way.
Oh man! So they
Just
basically
funny, bro.
They basically proved in my mind that this person is Tony DeAngelo going around trying to defend himself against the mob in the most dumb way possible. Very unadvisable what Tony DeAngelo was doing. Turns out you could say that about a lot of the things he did.
So Tony DeAngelo has a long and storied history of being a bitch. The earliest things that are available to us are that he got suspended not once but twice for using quote-unquote slurs against teammates and opposing players. Now, I have seen some discourse as to whether or not he was racist or not. I've seen a lot of people say it wasn't racist, it was homophobic.
That's a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Other marginalized people.
People have said that in defense of him. He didn't say something racist, it was homophobic. Like, okay. Either way, he said some shit, not once but twice. And then the Lightning drafted him, and fucking Stevie Y was like, "Yo, listen, he's been a rough kid, but we've all done shit we've regretted as kids, right? So we're willing to give him a chance and let him grow." Which, you know, maybe I don't feel like everyone deserves, but that's fine. I think that's a reasonable approach to take, and you know, it's not like he made a kid eat Sour Patch Kids that he had pissed on or something.
Oh my god. Okay.
But he got traded 2 years after that, and then got traded from whatever team he was at then to be in the Rangers now. And apparently there's been a ton of shit with the Rangers, with him like not being very friendly to a black rookie and not being very friendly to his goalie and screaming at his goalie after games. Chris Kreider apparently punched him in the face because of this. Kreider pretended that his fist was Kreider and that Tony DeAngelo's face was a goalie and just shoved himself into it. Like,
yeah.
Fuck Tony DeAngelo, man. You don't even need politics for this one. Everyone's like, fuck politics. Cancel culture is crazy. But he's proven that he's an asshole outside of his politics.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he was a Trump supporter or a Bernie bro, right? He's acting like a fucking dick. You can't have that on your team. And that's the decision that the Rangers made today. They placed him on waivers. That means that if he clears waivers, he gets put on waivers. That means that they want to put him on their AHL team. But first, before he does that, every team in the NHL has a chance to pick him up as a player for their NHL team. I suspect nobody will, because nobody needs that in their life. So he's going down to the minor league, essentially, for those who don't really follow.
Well, and if
hockey.
somebody does, they're worthy of criticism. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know, I had a fucking, like, you know, panic thought that the Avs have 7 injured D-men, so, you know, they might grab him. And I would actually...
No way.
I would have a really hard time with that. I think there's no way, but
they value their locker room way too much.
I think so as well, but you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people are saying the Penguins. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
If somebody takes him after all is said and done, it's like, what are you doing? Well, everyone's like, he's going to go to KHL, and I'm going to be like, to hang out with commies after screaming at his goalie for being a commie?
Oh,
okay.
That's really funny. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Some people are like, virtue signaling. Like, it's a problem.
Yeah, the league is virtue signaling.
It's like, no, he's a dick. Fuck him.
Yeah.
You know, even if he was a Trump supporter, you know, which he is, like, fuck him for that alone. But everything else, like, I guarantee that all of these rich white males, like 75% of them have to be MAGA bros, right? But they're not sitting there freaking out about it, like treating their teammates like shit if they're marginalized people. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, like,
if Nathan McKinnon was a MAGA bro, I'd be disappointed. But it's not like he's gone out of his way to fucking be a shithead about it. So it's like at some point I can be like, whatever. Like, he's playing the sports. Like, I can deal with the sports. But Tony DeAngelo is making a podcast about how liberals suck and, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so much fucking.
So the thing with hockey is that it leans conservative, like, top to bottom, right? There are a bunch of rich people, right? They have conservative values. Conservatism favors them, whatever, right? I don't give a fuck. There's lots of hockey people that I like as people. Like, it doesn't bug me. But when you're going out of your way to be an asshole, then the way that Tony DeAngelo has been, fuck you to the moon and back. It sucks. As you can tell, we're bleeding heart liberals here, but, like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
even if I was like a mega conservative at this point, I'd be like, man, this guy's fucking up the room so bad.
Yeah.
If he screams at his goalie hard enough that he gets this, like, another teammate to punch him in the face, like, I don't care where you stand politically. That's unacceptable as a teammate and like
No.
as a professional in the National Hockey League, the highest level of sport for the sport you're playing. Like, what are you doing?
And Chris Kreider is their team captain. He is the most like influential person in the room, theoretically,
And he
right?
hates goalies.
And my boy hates goalies. He
You watch
sees
a
a goalie
fucking
and his eyes go red, and he runs over them like he's a bull in a goddamn china shop. And
you
you're
watch a goalie run over a compilation, and 9 out of 10 fucking times it's Chris Kreider yeeting into that goaltender like, fuck, bro.
especially if it's Carey Price.
But he stood up for Georgiev, and he went to town. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like we're just rambling about Tony DeAngelo being a bitch at this point, but he's a
Yeah.
bitch.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one who thinks so.
So
His
like,
parents, his teachers, and his principal all agree that he's a total asshole.
but it's also just the current news. Like, it's been a developing story for weeks. It's culminated in what happened today. It's worth mentioning.
Dylan, opinions on bigotry.
Bad.
It's not tight.
Yeah. And other relevant news though, COVID. See, you're playing a hockey season in the middle of this whole COVID thing, and players are getting COVID.
Hmm.
And
I
They're
don't
not in a
understand how
bubble. They
that
get to hang
works.
out with their
Can you explain?
families. Like, ugh.
it's so. Man, so much COVID stuff has happened since the last episode. Like the Canes had like 7 players have COVID. The
Well, let's talk about COVID as it relates to the Avs right now. Marcus Foligno, an Avalanche player,
not
is
Avalanche.
I mean a Minnesota Wild player
Yeah.
who's playing against the Avalanche is in COVID protocol. Sorry, I'm drunk.
Yeah, you're fine.
So yeah, Marcus Foligno, a Minnesota Wild player, he's in COVID protocol now. They've been playing against the Avs for 2 fucking games. They have 2 more games against him. I assume that if he has COVID, it's going to spread. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. But
So, it's worth noting that COVID protocol doesn't necessarily mean that he has COVID. I haven't heard any like specifics about him.
it could mean he's been in contact with someone who tested positive. Like there's all kinds of things. They're trying to be super careful about it.
Yes.
Unlike the Capitals.
Capitals were another team that had a COVID outbreak. Man, and they got fined $100K. The team did.
Yes, 100K.
Because 4 of their players, including their captain Alexander Ovechkin, were not following COVID protocol. They were hanging out in an area that they were not supposed to be hanging out with people they were not supposed to be hanging out with. The goalie had COVID, and he was one of the people that were there. And then Alexander Ovechkin kind of gave a half-assed apology about it.
It was all the Russians on the Capitals, and I saw a lot of fun memes that were no Russian.
That's maybe not so fun, but okay.
Reference pretty tight. The meaning behind it. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I mean, my theory on that one is that they all got the super COVID serum that makes them immune to COVID from Vladimir Putin. But one of them got COVID, so I don't know. Maybe they didn't get that, or
Russia's
maybe
not known
that
for
doesn't
quality
work.
products.
More importantly, I guess right now is that the Vegas Golden Knights are not playing games because they had a COVID outbreak with their staff.
Yeah, their coaches.
Yeah, their coaches had a COVID outbreak. They played the first game after they found that out and had the team play, and everybody was like, wait, that's the coaching staff. They've probably had like lots of contact with the players. Why are they even playing? And the NHL was like, a good point, and canceled a bunch of their games. So
Well, and then
I don't know what to think.
The San Jose Barracuda canceled the game after the second period yesterday
Yeah.
because somebody's test came back positive. And my
Yeah.
question is, why are you playing a game if you don't have all the fucking tests back? What?
Yeah, so that's San Jose's minor league team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this whole COVID thing is kind of a crapshoot, and I trust the Avalanche to be responsible because I think they've got like a really good support group in that locker room and everything. I don't know where EJ got his from, but he didn't have contact with the team after that, so that's whatever. And then we had like 2 or 3 confirmed COVID cases last year, but that was after they played the Ottawa Senators, who had a bunch of people that were. So I don't even know, man. I think
Well,
the
and
Avalanche
a wild prospect, Rossi, he's gone back home now because of complications with COVID.
Yeah.
Apparently the COVID has affected him post like being sick to the point where he like needs to go home and get support from his family is what they said.
Yeah.
Like fuck the Wild, but I would never wish that on like anybody. Fuck, dude.
No. It's unreal. We are lucky to have a season right now. It is fun.
Like, what if Nathan McKinnon gets COVID and it affects him permanently? You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit. Like,
well, I mean, so Connor McDavid
it's
had
insane.
it, and he's doing okay right now, but he definitely came out slow. It seems, right?
Yeah, Connor McDavid had it. He was worse than McKinnon before, and he's worse than him now. But like, you know, it definitely didn't affect him very much. But
it's rough. It's rough. Be safe.
Yeah, be safe. I had 2 roommates who had it who were relatively fit and for 6 months couldn't walk up a single story worth of stairs. Like, you know, people act like it's a fucking joke, but
yeah, it's a rough one out there. So rookies, thought on COVID?
It's bad.
Thanks, rookies. Back to you.
No, I don't know. I mean, I know that's kind of shitty to just kind of throw it like that, but I don't know if you guys have any nuanced opinions on what you think the NHL should be doing about COVID. And like, I don't know, maybe you guys aren't like super experienced with hockey, but y'all are some smart people. So
Y'all are
if you
experts
guys
on COVID.
if you guys have any like opinions on this, I would like to, I don't know, talk about it.
I mean, I'm not a doctor. But I feel like they are definitely on the ice for a long time, in contact with each other a lot. So
like tummy sticks along the boards.
Yeah, I feel like this sort of thing is sort of unavoidable, unless they are in quarantine all the time throughout the season, which maybe they should be. But like, it's rough. I have no idea how they would be able to manage that.
Yeah, so they have like hotels that they've rented out for like the entire year and stuff like that. The hockey year, not the actual year.
Yeah, I gotcha.
The whole year.
Where that is designated for NHL teams only. My understanding is that everybody has their own room when they're on the road, and they are not allowed to be in contact with anybody else outside of like practice and game situations.
Depending on the city, they have common areas.
Yeah.
I don't remember who it was, but apparently in LA, they said they were allowed to eat together in a common area, whereas in Anaheim, they were not allowed to do so. So it's a pretty granular approach depending on where they are.
Yeah. I feel like the problem's coming with so for the playoffs last year, they had a bubble where they were just like there living in a hotel for 2 months or whatever in a neutral site. And every single player fucking hated that. So they get to go on the road and they get to go home during home games. They are able to go to whatever their actual real living situation is when they are at home. And I feel like maybe they aren't being monitored in the same way that they would be in a hotel room that the entire team is at. And I feel like maybe that's where you're getting some of these like problems with people getting COVID. And I don't know, dude. It's rough. I don't want people to get this disease that may or may not have like long-lasting effects, case by case.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably what's happening, right? But also, I don't know, it feels weird that you have to like dictate what they can and cannot do or have to monitor them at their house.
Yeah,
But it comes with the paycheck, I guess.
yeah. I mean, I guess so, right? Like if they sign like some sort of waiver or something like that that they have to
Mhm.
abide by.
Or maybe that sort of waiver needs to be made in this COVID world that we live in.
Yeah, it's rough because obviously, like, then you're getting to this weird philosophical, like, should it be like legal for your employer to tell you to do this stuff when you're in your own home or whatever, right? But I feel like when it's a public safety concern, like just with all this COVID shit, any sort of COVID discourse, it's all in the interest of public health and taking care of yourself and your family, right? And I just kind of wish that people respected that a little bit more sometimes. Um, and I am thankful to have hockey back. And God knows we need some sort of distraction with the way that the world is. And maybe this is too somber. Maybe this sucks. Maybe we cut some of this later. I don't fucking know. We'll
I don't
look
even think
back.
we need to. I think that hockey has made me feel so good in a time where I've just kind of sat around meandering for days at a time.
Yeah.
I think it sucks that it's at the expense of athletes, hypothetically.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like they don't want to play. They want to play. They want to get paid. They want to do what they've worked their whole life to do, which is try and get a Stanley Cup, right?
Yeah.
A Stanley Cup hog.
Names.
And it makes me feel good to be able to wake up almost every day and be like, fuck yeah, I have something to look forward to. It's going to entertain me. It's going to make me feel good unless they lose against the Wild after being up with 13 minutes left in the third. I don't know. Hockey's sick, man. It sucks that COVID's a deal, but at some point, you know, they're playing a game. They're getting paid for what they love to do. Like, they got to be careful.
Yeah.
And I want to watch it.
Speaking of, I want to watch it. The NWHL. Very cool. So Dylan and Devin have not joined us in this endeavor. We've kind of just been doing it on our own, right, Jake? But we're
You've been
women's
doing it
hockey
on your own.
fans. What? Are you telling me that you haven't watched our sweet team, the Whale, play hockey?
I've been watching these textbooks, brother.
Oh,
The
I see.
Whale?
The Whale.
The Whale.
That's the name?
Yeah. The Connecticut Whale. Yeah, so that's the team I've thrown my fandom into.
Same. I've
feel
watched
like
a couple
that's,
games, but
Yeah.
I feel like that's a bad name.
I think you're wrong. Come watch some
I
Whale
agree with-
games, and maybe not the one tonight because they lost 6-0 to the expansion team. But come watch some games. You'll have a good time. The Whale's fun.
What does that
are they
have to do with
technically
the
the
name?
Toronto 5 now?
I don't get the joke.
The way the Riveters backed out.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
It checks out. Very funny.
Checks
Smile
out.
and laugh.
Very funny. I'm just too small-brained. My brain's so small and smooth. So yeah, I mean, I've been catching some of that women's hockey. They're in a abbreviated season like the NHL. Basically, every team plays each other once, and then it's playoff time, where it's just single elimination, top seed versus lowest seed, blah blah blah. So it's very short and sweet, and I think the regular season is done. The playoffs are coming, so now's a good time to get in if you haven't already. They're broadcasting every single game on Twitch for free, and they're also broadcasting the playoffs on NBCSN. So there's lots of good ways to watch this stuff. I would say that with the NWHL, the product on the ice isn't nearly as polished as the NHL, but that's something that you can kind of expect because the NHL is like backed by billionaires and shit like that, where the NWHL just doesn't have that kind of support yet. Um,
Yeah, there's no value in women. Smile.
Thankfully, Discover just put in a lot of money. They sponsored them.
oh, awesome.
Oh,
That's really cool.
that's good.
I like to hear that. So
I don't know. Ideally, I feel like we get to a point where women can play a regular season, like a full season,
yeah,
and not have to use it as a weekend to, like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
They'll have jobs because they don't get paid shit. And I hopefully, like, obviously Barstool's not gonna fucking give them any money, right? So,
No,
but
like,
Discover's hooking them up, so.
well, yeah. So okay, so let's table that discussion for a little bit more because I want to gush about women's hockey for a second.
They're women who play hockey. It's sick.
Well, no. So like, I feel like women's sports has this like negative connotation to it, right? And the messed up part about it is that some of that is just like the support not being there for them, right? Like you said, they're not playing hockey as a full-time job. It is not what they get paid to do. But if they could be focused on just hockey, like I feel the same way about women's hockey that I did with Nathan McKinnon that first year we watched him, where you could see the talent was there and that the thought processes and stuff like that Nathan McKinnon could be something very special out there on the ice, right? But he just didn't quite have that development time and he didn't really have the support around him to really make him shine like he does now. And I feel like women's hockey can be just like that. I I feel like I see lots of like sick little nifty moves that these women are making out there on the ice that I'm just like, oh, that was a really cool play, but she kind of flubbed it at the end there. Or this play had a really unintended effect that led to something cool. It's a completely like different viewing experience, but I mean, I feel like it could be so awesome going forward.
Well, and I feel like it is. I feel like I see a lot of things that are like, man, if this person was paid to and able to dedicate the time, they would be like,
Top
you know,
tier.
Nathan McKinnon tier fucking,
Yes.
you know, and I don't know. It's a bummer in a sense because I feel like that kind of overshadows it because like watching women play doesn't strike me as different in any way other than, yeah, sure, they're women. I think it's sick that they get to play, and I think it's sick that like the Twitch numbers are so awesome.
Dude, Twitch has been very awesome. That's been such a wholesome experience.
But I definitely sat there thinking like, man, I wish these people had the chance to like dedicate like NHL athletes do.
Yeah.
Like I wish the support was there because I feel like we'd really just like get the dividends paid as fans to be able to see that shit happen.
So my introduction to women's hockey was the Winter Olympics. The last one that happened. So the thing with women's hockey is that there's a huge rivalry between the USA and Canada in like just everything hockey, right? But especially with women's hockey. So Canada and the USA have been so dominant in women's hockey for so long that they are like basically the gold medal game every single year. And going into that last Winter Olympics, the women's Canadian team had won like the last 4 or 5 or something like that. Like they were on a streak. So Team USA had a chip on their shoulder. So I was up at like 3 a.m. during that entire stretch, just watching women's hockey, watching that USA team just go at it and just try to prove that they were the best team on the ice. And especially during that USA Canada gold medal game where they actually just won. Like it was some of the most entertaining hockey I've ever watched.
I told you I never watched any Olympics.
No, I know you haven't. We've had this conversation before. But like it was so insane and it really opened my eyes to like how good this can be. Right? Because obviously like those women had something to play for. And it's not like they don't here in the NWHL, because they're fighting for representation, they're fighting to build the game and everything like that. But like I said, if they just had that financial support where they can be like, okay, I'm a hockey player. Not that, oh, I coach a youth league as my primary job and I'm a player on the side. Like, I feel like that's a pretty common story with women's hockey. I think that it'd be sick.
Yeah, I'm not even surprised that they're so good at it or that it's so tight. It's just like they need a chance.
They just need a chance. And
Devin, opinions on women.
They are people too. Yeah.
controversial.
I know that sounds sarcastic, but I legitimately mean that.
Yeah,
Just weird that I have to say that.
yeah, it is weird that you have to say that, and yet you do.
You have to say that because 10 out of 10 Tony DeAngelos disagree with you, Smile.
Yeah, so like,
fuck.
so I don't know. One of the reasons that I'm saying this is that on the off chance that like somebody happens to hear it, like a week from now or a year from now or whatever, like women's hockey's sick, and they just need the support, and it looks like it's going to have to come from fans, right? They have a Twitch channel they're streaming on, and half the money that people pay into subs go directly to the players. So they're really kind of crowdsourcing some of that funding, and I mean, what a time to do it, right? Like,
I'd be curious to know how that plays out.
yeah,
Or like how that's delineated. Like, is it just straight, like, equally distributed or?
yeah, so what I want to know, getting into the nitty gritty here, like you pay $5 for a Twitch sub.
Hold up, gritty?
Ew, it's gritty. But you pay
Grit.
$5 for a Twitch sub, tier 1 Twitch sub. It's the least you can spend. Twitch keeps
2.5
half
of
of
that
that
goes
money.
to Twitch. Yeah.
Yeah, and the like streamer gets the other half is the way it works. So what I want to know is, are the women getting the $250 that they are getting from like Twitch, or do they get half of the $250 and the other half goes to the league?
I think that's the one. I
Yeah,
think that Twitch
but-
gets their cut, and I think that everything else is delineated in half based on that.
Yeah, so they get $1.25.
Yeah, and then I mean, how many players? Let's say 23 per team for 6 teams. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. They
Well,
had
5
like
teams now because the Riveters. Smile.
I just hope they're getting theirs. Women's hockey is sick. The biggest difference between women's hockey and men's hockey is that in women's hockey, you're not allowed to make body checks. The reason cited is health studies.
That's fucking changed anything from what I've seen.
Health studies show, I guess, in scare quotes, that women's hips can't handle the constant physical pressure put on them that body checking
I've also seen it
does.
in relation to other womanly body parts that there are just certain soft tissue areas that can't handle it, and certain structural. But I mean, that's just what I don't know if that's the reality.
So to hear
I feel like the women's league would have checking if they wanted to have checking,
yeah,
or if they felt like they could medically justify it.
So I take this with a grain of salt, I suppose, because it was somebody I met at a random Avalanche game. But I was talking about women's hockey with him, right? Because, I think women's hockey is sick. And he was telling me that his wife plays at some sort of like professional level or whatever. Like maybe not the NWHL, but like maybe like, I don't know, AAA women's hockey or, whatever. But that's beside the point. But, she's a professional hockey player. And to hear her describe the problem is that in youth, as a girl, you are not taught to check properly. So when these women go in to make those body checks, their process isn't right. And that is what is causing the damage, not the fact that they are women and therefore more fragile than men or whatever the fuck you want to say, right?
Every woman's a mad cook.
So if that's the case, and I think that makes some good sense, like even if this wife is imaginary and isn't a real person or whatever, I think that logic makes a lot of sense to me. So I don't know. I'd like to see men and women coached in a very similar way at every level.
I
And
personally would feel like that reasoning isn't enough for the top of women's hockey to completely negate checking as an option.
I think that they just follow international women's ice hockey rules because that's what they have to play with in like international games and stuff like that. And I feel like the women's hockey league is largely a pipeline for Olympic teams and stuff like that, rather
Yeah.
than it being like, I don't know, the other way around like it can be sometimes with men's hockey. I don't know. Maybe this is a debate that neither of us are fully prepared to have, but
Maybe I'm not fully equipped, but I do know one thing. Fuck you, I'm right, you're wrong.
I mean, but yeah, I mean, support women. Period. Smile.
No smile. This is fact. Do that.
Unless you're Barstool, apparently.
Emphasis on the stool.
Yeah. So we've mentioned a little bit or hinted at. Me and you find the podcast Spitting Chicklets to be enjoyable, right? Like, they are good at what they do. They have good interviews that are entertaining to listen to, right? But the fact of the matter is, their parent company, Barstool Sports, is kind of absolute dog shit.
It's the Tony DeAngelo of companies.
Yeah. So they have a lot of history of misogyny. They have a lot of history of racism. Individual people, I guess I should say, not necessarily the company itself. But yeah, I mean, they give those people a platform, and even in Chicklets, I've heard some stuff that makes me not comfortable at all, right? And that shit sucks. I wish there were less of that.
Well, so do you know how this all started?
So for context, Barstool Sports tried to offer the NWHL to buy a team. So they want to create a team in the NWHL. They were met with a lot of backlash by players and the public because of their history of like sexism and stuff like that, right? I don't know what started this though. So why don't you?
Okay, so Erica Nardini, the CEO or whatever position she is, posted a video with the full clear text names and Twitter handles of all these people who were saying things about Barstool that were unfavorable in her eyes, and also people that were liking tweets that were unfavorable in her eyes. And so it was like a 3-minute long Twitter video talking about how, oh, I support this, I give this and this and this, I do all this stuff, and all these people just kind of spit in my face behind my back, like, and just kind of shows their handle, like the Twitter handles and stuff. And ironically, one of the main things that those people were criticizing in that video was how Barstool uses their platform to send their rabid, aggressive fan base towards people who disagree with them. And so by making this video showing these people names, she did exactly that, which I thought was kind of hilarious.
Yeah, the problem with Barstool is that they are a sensationalist news source, and that's why I don't like them, and why I think that maybe Spitting Chicklets doesn't hit that way for me, because I feel like they are very honest and they're not really like bullshitty.
Well, and even when the Chicklets defended all the stuff that was happening, I was like, they're just defending people that like
they know
they work for, or like they feel.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure the people have done good things for them, like, you know, I'm not too worried about it, but it was definitely a situation where, like, fuck, bro, you guys are doing the exact thing that you're criticized for.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a beat writer for the NWHL did write something that was patently untrue, so it gave Barstool fans ammunition to be even more aggressive.
Fuck me. I hate that. Oh my god.
So it really was like a feedback loop of just like bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sucked. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say on it. I think Barstool really handled it badly. I think the NWHL deserves support. It was just a situation where it was dumb. I don't know what to say about it. Like,
I mean, it is dumb, and I don't know. I like that the players got together and they were like, "Listen, we've decided, fuck you," right? Because they're what makes that league. Like, I feel like the players in the NWHL have more power over the league than an NHL player does. And like that's something that I don't know gives me maybe a little bit of hope that if things proceed and they are given the opportunities in the future, that they will make the most of those opportunities.
Dylan, opinions on misogyny.
Let me hit you with a controversial opinion. Bad.
Yeah. And
yeah, I don't know. I don't like. We're spending a lot of time like kind of repeating ourselves on some of the stuff, but like it's just frustrating. That's just annoying to watch it happen all the time.
yeah.
And I personally feel like sometimes I really want to go out of my way to just yell at people, and maybe I don't need to expend that energy, but
Luckily, you already do.
smile.
Smile.
Listen, you put a space between sports and net, so any opinion you have on hockey is irrelevant.
I can't believe you put a space between sports and net.
Hey, that guy went through and liked a bunch of my tweets and shit, so like maybe he'll listen to the podcast, and if you're listening, guy, fuck you.
Yeah, so sorry, we're vomiting a bunch of news and shit. Like, you guys don't really follow hockey news as much as we do, and you definitely haven't been watching women's hockey. So
Yeah, what's wrong with you guys? Come on.
I'm sorry if you feel like maybe there's not a lot to say. We've expressed a desire to have you two talk more because we love you, Smile.
What you guys need to do is drink vodka straight and eat Cheetos, and then you'll talk a lot.
I still feel like I would need opinions on things.
I don't really have much else left to talk about, really.
I have the drunk sleepies. I need to go take a Tony DeAngelo.
God damn. So I guess the only other stuff that I have is like hockey's fun. The Canadian division has been really fun to watch. Because lots of goals happen, but that's because most of the teams are bad. People are getting really excited that teams that they thought were bad can beat the Ottawa Senators, but I have news for you. They're the worst team in the league. By a good margin,
Listen,
it looks like.
A junior A team made up of blind kids could beat the Ottawa Senators, but
Now, that isn't to say that the Ottawa Senators aren't objectively fun to watch, because
they aren't.
Well, so they've got a lot of new rising talent like Brady Kachuk and like Stutzel and stuff like that. And like whenever they're on the ice, they're fun, but anybody else is maybe a little bit of a drag. And like they're scoring lots of goals and they're trying to make it competitive, but they're getting absolutely like demolished some nights. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of a give and take. Montreal Canadiens are fun. Hockey's fun. You should watch hockey if you don't. Why are you
Hockey's
here?
sick. To close this out, rookies, who's better, McKinnon or McDavid?
McKinnon.
That is the clear answer, and anyone who thinks that otherwise is patently incorrect.
So yeah, I mean, I guess to close this out, we have social media. You can follow me at Kumodere on Twitter, Kumodere. I've been a little bit not so active on there because of the new show Twitter, which is at Grit Hockey Cast. If you want to follow the show, I've been trying to be active there. Show news, hockey news, whatever you want. Follow it. you'll see it. And if you want to follow Jake, where can they find you?
Anime as leaders.
Awesome. So if you've hung around for these semi-sober, semi-drunken ramblings for this long, I commend you. Thanks so much for your support. And we'll see you next time. Hopefully this time not in like 2 weeks.
Thanks for listening to our Christian Minecraft podcast.
All right, have a good one.
See you guys later. Hopefully next week.
No, hopefully this weekend.